I lived my life as though my dreams, goals, and desired manifestations had already taken place for 24 hours, and I can guarantee you're not expecting what I'm about to tell you happened. When I was in college, I worked at a bookstore, and it was my dream, along with all of my coworkers, to one day purchase our own writing from that same bookstore that we used to work at. This would, of course, mean that we would need to work with publishers in order to market and sell our works of art on a massive scale to bookstores all over the United States because we worked for a major bookstore retailer. It wouldn't be until years later that I stopped working at that bookstore that I would eventually encounter a publisher of Meditation Magazine, a mindfulness and holistic wellness publication sold in major bookstores and health food stores all over the United States. I walked into a Whole Foods one day, I saw Meditation Magazine and thought this was exactly what I personally as a reader have always wanted, a magazine focused on these incredible holistic wellness practices. I flipped open the magazine, saw the founders' information, and reached out to them to share with them the ideas that I had to be featured in their publication. The message I received back was that it was most likely too late to be featured in the upcoming issue, but that I could apply to be featured in future issues. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, if it's most likely the case, what exactly would be required in order for me to beat those expectations and actually be featured in this particular upcoming issue? I was then told that the quality of work that I would need to create would need to match the quality of great spiritual teachers like Ram Dass and Alan Watts. These two names were mentioned in particular. When I heard that, I immediately thought, well, there goes my chance. I guess I'm just going to have to hope for another opportunity in the future. But I sat back and I knew, like, I have an idea and I want it to be shared. And I feel as though it is of the quality of some of the greatest writers who may have ever lived. I wanted to travel to Times Square in New York City and practice meditation in order to show that I can reach incredibly relaxed states of mind even in the most chaotic of circumstances. I had a vision for how the image would appear and what it would look like in the magazine. I knew this because I had done something similar previously when I'd lived in Southern California. I went to the Santa Monica Pier, which, if you've lived in Southern California, you know this is one of the most tourist locations in all of Los Angeles. I wanted to make something even better than what I'd already done, and I wanted that new project to be featured in this magazine. But unfortunately, immediately after I began communicating with the founder of the magazine, that's when the pandemic hit. And so my plans of traveling to New York and creating this project had really just gone to the side. So I let that idea go. I stopped communicating with the founder. But eventually, a few weeks later, he reached out to me and asked if I had created anything of the quality that may be acceptable in this upcoming issue. I told him what my plans were and how they had been thwarted. And that's when the founder asked me, well, have you written anything? Can you share anything with me? Even though we don't have photos, maybe there's a way that we can work it out and create something that looks slightly different, but shares the same message. And in all honesty, I told the founder that I had completed an article, a full article, when in reality I hadn't written a single word because I'd given up on it weeks before. He then responded and asked me to send him the article, and I told him, give me 24 hours in order to just make a few final tweaks, and then I will send it to him. So it's at this time I'm in a window in which I'd told somebody I'd completed an entire project, final draft, all the way through editing, and that I would be able to submit that to them within a 24-hour period of time when I hadn't written a single word. And that's when, for the next 24 hours, I lived as though the great project that had originally been thwarted, the New York project, that it had actually gone through and that it had been completed, it had been submitted, and that it had been accepted. I lived as though the article was finished, the images were accepted, and that it was blown up and that it was published all over the US. That's when, from 0 words, I wrote the entire article and edited it in order to submit it the next day to the founder of the magazine to hear his judgment whether he chose to approve it or deny it. I submitted the images of the experience that I had in Santa Monica. A photographer came by and created the image, the exact one, more or less, that I wanted to have created in New York City. but in Los Angeles, and I shared that information with the founder of the magazine. And can you guess what happened? The article got accepted. Now, look, I'm not here to say that I personally feel as though my quality of writing is of the quality of someone like Ram Dass or of Alan Watts, but to be totally frank with you, this was the guideline that I was given, the quality, the expectation that needed to be met. I submitted whatever I submitted, and it was approved as though it met that quality. If you would like to see what that article turned out to be, then click the link below in the description. Ever since then, I've been writing for Meditation Magazine, and my writing has been featured and sold in major stores like Barnes & Noble and Whole Foods all over the United States. I've been interviewing world-renowned experts like Harvard neuroscientist Sarah Lazar, multiple-time world champion professional athletes, New York Times best-selling authors, and many others on these holistic wellness topics that can truly improve the health of people's lives all over the world, not even just in the United States. I've had friends who have no idea what I do come with me inside of a bookstore, and I show them my writing and they almost can't even believe it. They're so blown away because they never expected something like that to come from me. But ultimately, it's because it wasn't just that I lived as though my manifestation was real for 24 hours. It was that that's who I truly was, and I gave myself permission to feel that way for 24 hours. I hope this inspires you to pursue the great goals and dreams that you have, no matter what the obstacles are, no matter what's in the way, no matter what someone tells you is possible and what's not possible. Because the truth of the matter is that the only person who decides whether that's impossible or actually possible is you yourself. Let me know what you think. Do you have any profound stories about how you manifested something in a very short period of time like what I've shared with you? Leave a like if you enjoyed watching this video, and make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until the next one, I love you all. Peace.